about over 70, right?
Yes, 72. Maybe as we proceed, maybe there may be some joining. As time proceeds,
Yes.
I think we can start, sir.
Yeah. Hi, Professor Dakshina. Hi. Greetings from Sri Lanka.
Good morning.
Good
Oh,
morning.
good afternoon, sorry.
Good morning to you, Professor Dakshina. And we would like to have a photograph, isn't it, Dr. Shanta, with all the participants?
Oh, let me send.
After Dr. Dakshina's speech, maybe some more to join. We will try photographs.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think now time to start. Good afternoon and good morning, our distinguished resource person today, Professor Dakshina. And we are today all are set to proceed with our knowledge sharing session on in today's context, you may have heard the STEM. So today our eminent speaker will speak on some two STEM subjects, how could, very important in terms of non-STEM subject in economics. So to start the our knowledge sharing session, as per the agenda, the first item is the welcome address. So I cordially invite Dr. Sepalika Sudhasinghe, Director General of the National Science Foundation, to deliver the welcome address. Of course, I think she may also have some remarks as well. So I cordially invite. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Shanta. Good morning, Professor, and good afternoon to all our participants. To our distinguished Professor Dakshina De Silva, a Professor of Economics at Lancaster University, all the academics and the policymakers and the practitioners, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome from National Science Foundation, Sri Lanka. I feel extremely glad to welcome everyone to this much-awaited webinar, Economics, a STEM subject, Relevance of Math and Statistics. On behalf of my institution, I take this opportunity to thank the professor for accepting our invitation to be the part of NSF to conduct this session. So we are so proud of you. As a practitioner in the public service from the math stream, completing masters in economics with PhD in development administration, I strongly believe that the decision makers in the education sector need to understand and realize the importance of mathematics and statistics in economics. Because economics, broadly speaking, is it's the systematic study of production or conservation and allocation of resources in conditions of scarcity, together with the organizational framework related to the processes. Though the father of economics, Adam Smith, did not put any mathematics in the Wealth of Nations, much of economic theory is currently presented in terms of complex mathematical relationships. So therefore, I believe economists use models as the primary tool to derive insights about the economic phenomenon in question. That's why this forum is important to decision makers in the field of education to decide, the importance and to integrate this to strengthen the subjects in the economic field. So, ladies and gentlemen, my thanks to the speaker and the participants in this forum for joining us in this collaborative effort. Indeed, it's my hope that all of you will have an opportunity to speak out and share your ideas and suggestions during this discussion. So, thank you for your attention. Over to you, Dr. Shanta.
Thank you very much, madam. Next item is the opening remarks. Professor Ranjit Senaratne, Chairman of the National Science Foundation, will give the opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sir. Professor Dakshina Silva, Professor in Economics, Lancaster University, participant from universities and public sector institutions, our Director General and the members of National Science Foundation. It affords us great pleasure to really conduct this topical event. NF is in the habit of conducting novel, game-changing events in the recent past. If I give a little background to this, NSF constructed a global digital platform to harness Sri Lankan expatriates for national development. Now over 1,000 high-profile academics and scientists across the globe are registered with us, and we have been in the process of really harnessing them towards national development. So Professor Dakshina Silva, also a high-profile academic registered with our global digital platform, who visited us last November, and we had active discussion with him and about the subject of economics and other relevant disciplines that are being used also along with economics in offering academic programs. So there was also discussion following our meeting in November, that was in December, and members expressed interest to have a wider audience to share this novel thinking. It's actually not really novel globally, but in Sri Lanka, it is a trend that we would like to see happening. Now, if you look at the global hydrogen landscape, you see many countries offering BSc in economics. Even countries like Uganda, right? We generally consider Uganda backward compared to Sri Lanka in education and so on. But they are in fact ahead. They have BSc in economics. And also Kenya and also India, of course. There are several countries in the world. They have BSc in economics, but in our countries, it's BA in economics. Now, if we look at the world, whole world is becoming borderless, and we'll talk about global village. But when you look at our universities, they are still highly fragmented, compartmentalized, and their boundaries are rigid. Though we have introduced course-winning system, we don't see any cross-faculty degree programs really being offered in our system still. So I think this will be this talk by Professor Dakshina, I'm sure will be a game-changing event, get members, policymakers, planners, educationists to think differently and pay serious attention to this matter. As also Shanta mentioned, now we have been talking about STEM. Now we have switched on to STEAM because we know that the combination of science, arts, commerce ultimately is important to produce a complete person, to produce a well-rounded, well-grounded citizen. So this way, that's why now even education ministry now popularizing STEAM. So that means actually we need to really reduce or at least make the boundaries less rigid between faculties and make them more permeable and porous so that there would be greater interaction across faculty boundaries, providing for the universities to offer cross-faculty degree programs. I don't want to get into details which would be presented by Professor Dakshina, but if you look at great economists in the world, many of them have their roots sound grounding in mathematics and statistics. I think that is there. So I think This will I hope will create discussion, ultimately leading to offering novel degree programs, even offering BSc in economics in our country. Of course, this takes time, and we need now, because we are discussing about education reforms, education policy. These things need to be incorporated into this. And again, thanking Professor Dakshina for accepting our invitation amidst your busy schedule. I think we should go ahead with this program, because several academics and scientists are awaiting to listen, not to us, but to Professor Dakshina. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think you are well elaborated our objective and importance of today's event. And with that backdrop, today we will move on to the crucial item, our guest speakers, our resource persons elaborations. So before handing over to you, I would like to brief our resource persons' credentials very briefly. Professor Dakshina De Silva holds a position as a professor in the Department of Economics at the School of Management of Lancaster University, UK. His, of course, he has a blend of expertise in teaching as well as research, and of course with the advisory role in a span of subfields in economic, such as industrial organization, environmental and natural resource economics, regional and urban economics, and applied microeconomics in both research and teaching. He earned his bachelor's degree in economics and the master's degree in the international field of international economics from the Radford University, USA. He earned his PhD in economics from the University of Oklahoma, USA. Professor Dakshina has actively contributed to academic publications in capacity of both the editor as well as editor chief and editorial board member in several journals related to economics, and of course in some special issues in applied economics in relation to environmental and natural resource economic policy and management. His expertise lies in the field of regional, it is the core, it sounds the core expertise, regional and urban economics, environmental and natural resource economics, as well as applied microeconomics. Without further ado, I cordially invite our distinguished resource person today, Professor Dakshina, to start your speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for everybody to joining me, and thanks Ranjit, Sepalika, Shant, and all the people who organized this one. Thank you very much. So this conversation started when I visited NSF and had a quick chat with Ranjit, and you were asking, well, do you know any other Sri Lankan economists in US or England? I said, well, not very many. So then we had this chat. Why is that the case? So I think that is what I'm trying to show here today. So let me share my screen, and also you're welcome to stop me and ask me questions of, so that's the best way to do this one. Just stop me and ask me questions as we go by. I'm pretty familiar with it. That's the most efficient way, I think. And also you can just call me Dakshina. You don't have to put all these other, and thank you very much for the very kind introduction anyway. So, okay, let me share my screen. Oops. Okay, let's see. It's not working. Wow, it's a black screen. Hold on. Okay, I think it's working. Now, I cannot see anybody in here, I think. Okay, wait a minute. I think I can see, I guess. Yeah, okay. As introduction. So I'm a professor at Lancaster University, so I'm going to talk about the importance of math and statistics. I don't have a magic bullet. It's just my thoughts, and we can agree or disagree with what I have to say. So I don't get offended by any means here. As I said, we had this chat with Ranjit in November, December, and he was asking about, why we don't have enough PhDs doing, economics. I said there are a lot of inquiries, but they don't have the correct background for us to fund. So then we talked about what we can do. I said, well, I can have a small chat with everybody, including the UGC. So what I'm trying to do here is try to talk about global trends in economics, and then let's look at the university environments for graduates and undergraduates. There are two typical systems in the world. One is a UK system and the other one is a US system. So let's talk about that and then look at the university entrance for graduates and talk about economic curriculum and then how that relate to interdisciplinary research. And maybe there are some fundamental changes has to be there in the University Grants Commission and how the universities will be allowed to recruit whoever they want to recruit. And then, the fundamental shift in approach to economics as well. So that's the roadmap. So let's look at this one. I don't know, can I see this one? Maybe here. Okay. So when I was a student, I end up having only one Sri Lankan as a colleague, as a classmate, during my 10 years. Anbudha Kankanama, who is right now at University of Peradeniya. I think he's right now visiting University of Vermont on sabbatical. So 10 years goes by, only one Sri Lankan. That doesn't really sound very well. If you're taking physics or chemistry or other subjects, they have a cohort of people coming from a stream of, their colleagues and friends come through Peradeniya or University of, any of the other universities, many people comes through. So they always have like 2-3 people in any department in Oklahoma or Texas Tech, where I used to work. They have about 40-50 students, always from Sri Lanka, but only one economist for the last 10 years. So I have had many inquiries for the last 22 years. When I was a faculty member at Texas Tech, each year we used to get like 5 to 7, intake was 5 to 7 people, and we used to give assistantships, fully funded assistantships. During my time, there were about 15 inquiries, but we were able to fund and, we fully funded. The way to do a PhD is to get funding. Otherwise, it's going to be quite expensive. So we had only 2 people who during my time, I was able to help. One was Nimantha, the other one was Indunil. Okay, so Indunil came from BSc and MSc from London School of Economics, and Nimantha had a BSc in statistics from University of Colombo. Then the year after I left, this Janaka Mahipala, I think he works for the central bank. Okay, so he came with a BSc in mathematics and statistics from University of Peradeniya. So if you think about till 2016, we had only 3 people at Texas Tech who did a PhD in economics, but their background is not necessarily economics. Their background is in mathematics and statistics and all different subjects. Then at Lancaster, I've been here now 11 years. we again take about 5 to 7 students each year. Each year I get about 2 to 3 inquiries, but 0 students with or without funding. Why? Because, you know, the person who is in charge of admitting students, first what we want to see, if there's a student who is applying for graduate studies, whether they have enough statistics and math background. Now, it has to be on paper. I mean, you might be a brilliant mathematician, but you got to show it on a piece of paper saying, I have math classes. So that's a problem. And if they may have first class honors from, let's say, economics, and somebody has a first class honors from economics and mathematics, or just mathematics, our policy is most of the time we are interested in teaching somebody economics who has a background in mathematics rather than the other way around, because it's harder to teach mathematics to a person who doesn't know mathematics when they get into the university. Okay, so this is where kind of I started with Ranjit saying, well, you know, there has to have some fundamental changes. Okay, so let's see, how can I get, I don't know whether you can see this or not now. Okay. Okay. So main issue back again is this lack of math and stat background. Okay, so that's kind of the going theme here in this slide. Basically, whenever somebody comes and asks, the director of graduate studies will come and ask, hey, Dakshina, do you think of this person is capable enough of doing, and what is the meaning of A-level art subjects? Well, I got to be honest, and especially when we were in Sri Lanka, when I was in US, I had to tell what is A-level art subjects means. And UK, it doesn't matter because they are quite familiar with this the setup, because they have A levels as well. Okay. Now, so what's the global trend in teaching and research in economics? Well, things changed starting 1980s to 1990s. Okay, so basically, 80s changed the way people look at economics. So they started putting more emphasis on strategic decision making and modeling mathematically using Nash equilibrium concepts. Okay, so then you end up having the personal computers came into play as well, where some people used to use mainframes to do a simple regression. Now you can do it on in your laptop within like a millisecond. So with that part entering into the equations starting 1990s, you have this lot of economic models start popping up in the 80s and 90s. So since 1990s, people start combining this theory and econometrics in a very serious way. And with the advancement of computers, sophisticated computationally intensive and very complex empirical models, and also now in the 2000s and 2020s, you see like data science, big data. These are very common things that economists use. Okay, so if you think about Amazon, Google, Facebook, eBay, and Yahoo, they have a whole research area, research office, who are working on economic model to understand how human behavior works. They have enormous amount of data because everybody buys, 50% of the things, not 50%, but quite a large number of people are Amazon customers. So they have this extremely detailed information, how people spend their money and what kind of people who they're dealing with. And they can, analyze human behavior using their data. So for them, Amazon and Google, I mean, they have their own economic research teams using these very complex mathematical models and very computationally intense mathematical econometric models to understand these things. What is required then is to for these people to succeed is require mathematics and statistics. So that means that entry requirements to statistics and entry requirements in the curriculum has to change. Like in Sri Lanka, well, what we have is some of the majority of the people comes through taking art subjects. Well, that might not be the way to do it. So as I said, I'm not giving you like, this is what you need to do. I mean, this is somebody has to take lead and change it. So I'm just going to give you a kind of a roadmap kind of a thing. That's what it is. Okay. So let's look at the entry requirements for undergraduates. So let's take UK type institutions. So example, Lancaster, it's ranked decently high. So, I mean, if somebody wants to go and do a PhD, well, you may want, or a degree, I mean, you may want to try to get into the top 100 in the world and do something, okay? So let's take Lancaster University. Economics BSc, also honors. The requirement is AA and a B, okay? So in the A levels. And A-level mathematics has to be at least a B grade, okay? And if you're going to take economics and mathematics as a BSc, a combined degree, then you need to have AAB, but mathematics, you have to have a grade of A. So you can see here, then there's another degree called Mathematics, Operation, Research, Statistics, and Economics. Well, you need to have 3 A's and A-level mathematics, okay? If you take this kind of a look, most of the top universities in Australia, New Zealand, UK, they're all looking for these mathematics as a background, okay? Now, BA degrees does not require, I mean, they do not require any math, but may affect their job outcomes, okay? So, yes, it may be end up being, working for a consulting company versus working for something else, okay? Because we try to place students during their second or third year as internships. But many of our students who are doing BScs end up getting placed quite easily. So it may affect job outcomes of these students, okay? So that's one of the reasons. Now, let's look at the US type. This is where I studied. I take University of Illinois Champaign as an example. Then again, it's another pretty high-rank university, so land-grant university. Some of you in this audience today have studied at different places in the United States, so you have the basic idea how it works. For undergraduates, now in the US system, you don't have high school calculus taken, but they have first 2 years of general education. If you are willing to study economics, right, they must typically complete the introductory microeconomics, macroeconomics, and calculus. Okay. Now, calculus 1, calculus 2, this is not business calculus. That is not accepted in economics departments if you're trying to do economics. Now, you can do business calculus and do any other business field, but if you're trying to do economics, you need to take calculus from math department, okay? Then in the last 2 years of the economics curriculum, they will have economics and statistics, economic statistics 2, and calculus. So the idea here is that if you're taking economics as an undergraduate, you end up using calculus 1, calculus 2, economics, Economic Statistics 1 and 2 at Illinois Champaign. So this is typically the case where if you're going to do an undergraduate degree, so you end up getting 4 classes or 3 classes in calculus and statistics. Okay, and this is in addition to econometrics per se. Okay, so econometrics is different. It's a tools that you are learning from calculus and economic statistics being used in econometrics. So fundamentally, if you don't have these tools, it's hard to take econometrics. Okay, so that's what this calculus will let you set up to do econometrics and those kind of classes to succeed in the future. Okay, now let's look at any top 100 university in the world. Okay, so if you go to their website, I take Illinois Champaign because I worked there I was on sabbatical and I worked with some of the people there, and I'm quite familiar with them as well. So if you go to their website, this is their quote: "Our doctoral program admits students with strong quantitative backgrounds and prepare them for careers in academia and for research position in government, international organization, and consulting." And they specifically says STEM designation for their PhD. Our PhD program is designed as a STEM program. This allows international student opportunity to request an extension to their OPT. So OPT is optional practical training. So if it is not a STEM subject, you get 1 year. If it is a STEM subject, you get 2 years. Okay, so you can see what is this pattern here. Because it is better for the jobs as well, ultimately, and it let you succeed in the future. Okay, that's what this whole thing is about, STEM. Now, Lancaster University, we have an interview. We get the applicants and we have an interview. If you have good math backgrounds, they have a better chance of succeeding and securing some funding. That's as simple as that. So the point here is that all these universities, if you talk about top 100 universities, they are going to look for math and statistics backgrounds. Okay. If you go to this Illinois Champaign, they don't talk about whether you have an economics background. They say, well, do you have any math background or statistics background? Because that is the part they are more interested in. Okay. So what should we do here, right? If you take a typical undergraduate curriculum, okay, general education courses, they are going to have this mathematics and statistics. In addition, right, they are going to have econometrics theory, econometrics applications, and sometimes they have 2 types of econometrics classes. One is macro based, the other one is micro based. Okay, so that is where you are using not only linear regression methods, but also non-parametric methods to estimate like structural IO kind of attitude to learn those kind of things as well. Okay, so basically what you're going to see here in a curriculum is additional to your first 2 years of general education, you're going to have econometrics and mathematical economics. Okay, so mathematical economics, again, 2 to 3 courses. Either it can be Math 1, Math 2, or some advanced topics in mathematical economics. So the point here is that I'm not asking, to change anything. It has to be organically changed by the universities in Sri Lanka or wherever. But this is the trend, right? Math has come to the curriculum, and this is where people are going to be looking for the future. Okay, so if we change quickly, it is going to be better off. Okay, so if you think of the graduate curriculum, this is very typical. So this is kind of like the standard US type econometrics courses. They will have econometrics 1, econometrics 2, and then micro applications, macro applications. that's the typical graduate curriculum in a US university. I know some of you have studied in the United States, and this is the typical setup. Mathematical economics, generally two, unless you are going to be a pure theorist, you will take advanced mathematics as well. Okay, so mathematics can be statistics and math in the first one, and then mathematical economics in the second one. So this was kind of, my typical background is also 4 classes in econometrics and 2 classes in mathematical economics. So this is what I was exposed at OU as well. But this is the typical setup, okay? That's what we have in the in US and England as well. So why this is important, right? But economics is not just trying to do economics, but we are also need to understand the efficacy of policies. Also, we work with engineers, health economists, public policy, right? Or you can talk about flooding and other natural disasters. You got to model it. You have to understand, especially energy, right? So in Sri Lanka right now, there's a transition to energy. You're moving from, let's say, diesel to biomass. Well, or diesel to hydrogen. Is it economically viable, right? What is the output is going to be? Production is going to change. Is it cost effective? So these things has to be modeled. And also, if you're going to talk to scientists in engineering, well, you may want to know a little bit about what they're talking as well, right? Otherwise, that's not going to work very well either. Okay, so setting policies, or now let's say there's a new tax policy, or there is a new some different small business development program. Okay, you start in 2020. Let's say started in 2010. Now you want to see whether this policy is actually working, right? So to do this one, you need to correctly model and use econometric techniques to evaluate this efficacy of these policies. You cannot just run a simple OLS regression with a dummy and say, all right, this is working. That doesn't work that way. So you need to set the model properly, because maybe there are selection issues, who enters these programs, who doesn't enter this program. So it has to be done in a proper way using math models and econometric tools. Okay. And also, now let's take United States or England, right? If I want to use firm level data, I can easily get access to data using the US Census. Now, I may have to go to the US Census or send English Similar Authority, but you can get access. You write a small proposal and say, all right, I need time to use on this data, and they will give access. And also, most of the data is available at a firm level. Now, you can look at the US EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. They tell exactly which firm polluting where. Well, we remember, some of you may be old enough to understand there was a disaster in Bhopal during the Union Carbide disaster, right? So from that onwards, in 1986, US decided to provide all the information about who uses chemicals and where it is, who is polluting. Why can't we do that in Sri Lanka? What is there to hide? There's nothing to hide, right? It should be available to anybody to just download it from the internet and figuring it out. So if you have this kind of information, and that has to have interagency cooperation, because you cannot live in your own silo. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Otherwise, you're just making like policies in the dark, literally speaking. So, if you want to do proper policies, analyze them, you should be able to share the data, and you should be able to access the data. in a timely manner. And otherwise, the policy making is not going to be very interesting. Okay. So good economics, right, will help to understand and collaborate with other disciplines, right? Because if you're talking about, I know there was a session on hydrogen. Well, is it viable? Is it a viable option for Sri Lanka? It may be viable for Japan. It may not be viable for Sri Lanka because the cost. I'm not saying it is not viable. Please don't take it wrongly. But we need to understand whether it is economically viable or not, right? Anything what we're doing. Okay. So now we have these data science departments. We have this. So I work with engineers. I have worked with civil engineers in Texas Tech when I was there. I work with the engineers here as well. It doesn't mean I'm an engineer. No, I'm not by any means, but should be able to understand what they're talking about. And also boundaries should be like, not worried to cross these boundaries. And, it's not like hard boundaries. People should be able to, cross boundaries and see. There are a lot of synergies if you think about these different faculties and different degree programs. And you can work with them and you will have better understanding of policies and how that can be implemented and analyzed in the long run. Okay, so but this has to have a fundamental change in attitudes in economics, and it has been happening in United States and England and other major countries, Canada, and all these places. So there has to have the fundamental shift in approach to economics. So I don't know whether there's anybody from UGC. UGC was introduced in 1978. Well, things have changed in 1978. You cannot simply be static. Okay, you have to be fluid and you have to be change with the times. Okay, so if I take the fields of study in A-levels, math stream, combined math, physics, chemistry, you have these things. Biological science stream, okay, so biology and stuff. Commerce stream, well, business statistics, or they can choose information technology without econ. It may change according to your high school. Well, the problem is, some high schools, when I was in Sri Lanka this December, I asked, why don't you allow students to take, if somebody's taking business studies, accounting, and economics, why can't they take mathematics? Well, the answer was, well, we timetable them because they are overlapping at the same time, because they are not required to take. I mean, that was kind of a bizarre answer to me, because you're just taking the opportunity out of somebody that they could do this one and they're just not allowing them to do it. So I was a little stunned in that regard, because that's not an answer that I was expecting. Okay, so commerce stream should be able to do math and whatever they want to do. They're not allowed to do it because there are timetabling issues. That's a kind of a silly answer. So there has to be some kind of fundamental change as well. Now, if somebody did arts, well, then you do this languages and civilizations, aesthetic subjects, geography. That may not be the ideal subjects for an economist in the modern economic subjects looking. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking here. So, you may want to ask the question, is economics the same subject? Okay, almost, top 100 universities at least, okay, treat economics as a STEM subject. Now, what Sri Lankans can do, you can change the requirement for, you have BA and a BS. Well, suppose you have a BS, like look at Lancaster, I showed you earlier. every BS degree, they require mathematics for entry level. So maybe UGC can do that. Or maybe universities should be able to set the entry requirements. What will happen here is that there are some universities who are privately run, something like SLIIT, SLET, I guess somewhere in, it's in Colombo. They are, they are trying to set these entry requirements. I mean, they're private, so you can do whatever they want. I guess, I don't know. They may allow that part. Okay, so I'm not saying they are doing it, but they can. If they're private, they might do it. So what is going to fundamentally change is that, some universities may end up having these math requirements, some may not. And the way it is set up right now, A-level mathematics is not required to do an economics degree. So that is fundamentally mismatched when you try to do higher studies. That's going to be trouble, right? So that's something that you may want to revisit. So the point here is that somebody has to take leadership. I know it's not the most interesting thing to go and tell the UGC people go change requirements, but somebody has to start somewhere. Okay, so maybe some of you are, progressive enough to change the culture and say, well, we got to fundamentally change this part here. Okay, but many universities have very good programs, economics and data science. These are pretty nice programs. So it's there are very nice programs are there, but how to set it up might be a little bit constrained because of the requirements coming through the UGC. Okay, so but also may lack resources to teach. So you can set up these nice programs, but you may end up not having enough people to go and teach as well. So then training becomes a problem. Well, to train, if you want to go to a different country and get trained, Japan or Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere in the Europe or in Canada and the United States, well, they're going to ask, well, do you have any, if you try to do higher studies, they're going to ask whether you have a math background when you try to do. So you see the problem here. So it's going to be always come back to this, whether you have math and statistics in your curriculum. Okay, so fundamental change. So here are some examples. Okay, so 1969, Fritsch and Tittenberg, won the Nobel for the first time for economics. It's for conjectural variation. Then, for the longest time, it was more of a macro people, but since 1991, many micro people end up winning. So 91, 94, basically Coase theorem, Ronald Coase for Coase theorem, John Nash for Nash equilibrium, Heckman for Heckman correction, Eric Maskin for mechanism design, Milgram and Wilson for auction theory, Claudia Goldin for analysis of historical experience for women in the economy. So that is also kind of quantitative methods. So the point here is, I don't need to tell. You can guess this. You can guess the common theme here. They are all mathematicians. Eric Maskin, who is going to be here in few weeks, he's a mathematics person. Yeah. So their background is in mathematics. Okay. Now, so almost all departments, right? I just had this Excel sheet for who is going to participate. I just went through some of them. Okay, so I look at some of the people who are members in the faculty. There are many people in many of the Sri Lankan universities have faculty members who have studied in Australia, Japan, Korea, New Zealand, US, UK, Canada. So they know what I'm talking. I'm not talking completely nonsense here, right? They know, they have experienced this part. So encourage them to participate and take leadership, and they should know. They should know this part. Okay, so I'm not saying something that is completely, crazy here. They know what I'm talking about. So maybe, people should encourage them to take some leadership, change the curriculum or change the delivery of the methods, delivery of the courses or the new courses itself. Okay. It might take some time, but somebody can take the thing. So what's the role of the expats? Well, I mean, I can speak for myself. If somebody write to me and ask for help, I will help. But I cannot speak for everybody else, but I'm sure there are a lot of Sri Lankans who are willing to help. And I think, I think if you ask them, I'm sure they are all willing to help. So, there are resources outside the country. You can, it's not only just talking, but also you can work with them collaborative research, whether it is not only economics, it can be science, physics, chemistry, even history. It doesn't matter. There are people who may willing to work with Sri Lankans. I know some of the people in Lancaster. They are working with in Sri Lanka with KDU about languages and about dialects in Sri Lanka and so on and so forth. So it doesn't have to be economics, but there are a bunch of other people as well. So they're happy to collaborate and work with. So so that's what I have. And let me stop share things here. And happy to answer any questions you have.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. And I think your deliberations were underlying the importance of two subjects. In a way, it sounds, of course, some kind of policy level changes, of course. So therefore, I think it well conveyed the message with emphasis on the importance of two subjects. I learned from the introduction economics non-STEM, but through your slides, I realized that now majority accept economics too as a STEM subject. So I think now the floor is open for discussion. I kindly request from the audience, if you want to ask any question, first raise your hand so that we could identify and you can ask the question or the clarification. Or of course, you also could post a question to the chat box. Of course, we can extract from the chat box as well. Floor is open, please.
Just a quick observation. Thank you very much, Dakshina, for a very thought-provoking and insightful presentation. Message is clear and loud, right? You transmitted it very effectively and powerfully. I'm sure there will be many questions. We see the challenges there. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions from the audience. Floor is yours.
And by the way, I sent you these slides, Shant. So if you want to share with everybody, you're very welcome to share it.
Okay, right.
And if there are any typos, it's all mine. Sorry.
No worries.
Thank you.
Shall I'm Chandra Buldenia. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
I'm Chandra Buldenia, the chairman of the STEAM committee of the National Science Foundation. And of course, in our discussions right from the beginning, economics has been a STEM subject. I don't know who told you that economics is not a STEM subject here from the little that we are doing here in Sri Lanka, but I know that it's not, the idea of STEAM education is not, given everywhere in the country. It's going into the general education. In my experience, I have been, I have set up a STEAM university in Sri Lanka, and there it was not only economics, but there were many other subjects that came into STEAM education. So we have gone a little beyond the STEM concept to STEAM now. I like your responses to that. Number two, I prepared a very detailed analysis of the US situation on the STEM education. In fact, in US, how they record it is, from what I have seen, it's science and technology. And so for me to understand how science and technology performs in US, I downloaded all the data that is available in your database in the US from their surveys, and analyzed that. And I prepared a report. Probably you can have a copy of that from Ranjit. What really convinced me from the employability and the total numbers employed out of the people who are taking the subjects that you have been talking about, it's quite high on the with a science base, and also computer science base and technology. So there is a complete detailed analysis of that. In fact, anybody in this audience can access that report. I'm sure it must be on the NSF website if Ranjit had done that. But for me, economics is part of STEAM, and it has been given to students, all our students who entered the university, because the entire university is a STEAM university, and all our degree programs are structured in such a way that gets into the STEAM idea into their head. Of course, they have been doing very well, the graduates. It's a very young university. So I just want to give you that idea. But when you talk to UGC is working on this old UGC Act, which will be changed very soon according to the new policy framework, which has already been drafted, and now it is in the discussion stage at high levels before it goes to Parliament. So that will change in time to come. Yes. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation, Daksina. Yeah, thank you.
So thanks for the question. I'm not saying economics is not a STEM side. It depends on how we want to categorize. The mismatch comes from UGC to the university. So, for example, somebody can take Western civilization or something like that as a A-level subject, and try to come and do intermediate micro, and they have no math background after grade 10. So then that's a mismatch you will have. That's where the UGC has to fundamentally change. I mean, apparently it is changing, but it has not changed since 1978. So, I mean, we cannot change in another 20 years or 30 years. It has to change tomorrow or today, or maybe it should have changed like few days before. So that's where I'm saying, I'm not saying, as I said, I don't have the magic bullet here, but I just see, I'm just saying what's I can see, that's all. So Ranjit?
Yeah. I think one had another.
I think Ranjit Perumal De Silva.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that for an interesting presentation. Now, when you look at the location of Department of Economics in our university system, and also the admission requirements for the students, those who get enrolled in the economics studies in national universities of Sri Lanka, we can see that it's basically located in the humanities and social sciences. And where we don't have the students with backgrounds in statistics or mathematics. Even though some of the departments like Peradeniya, they changed the name Department of Statistics and Department of Economics and Statistics. Although the kind of statistics that they use in the Department of Economics and Statistics is very much limited when you look at the requirement for mathematics and statistics required for the studies in economics, as we explained. Do you think that we need to relocate or revisit the location of the departments and house these departments in science-based streams or faculties, and then get students with backgrounds in statistics and mathematics, rather than trying to change their course of studies during the latter stage in their study programs? Thank you.
I studied and I have taught in economics departments which were in business school or arts and sciences. So it doesn't matter which place you're housed in, far as your curriculum is set and requirements are entry requirements and is set in a way that it helps you to support their education. I'm not worried about. I don't worry. So all the places I have worked, either they are in the business school or either they are in the arts and sciences faculty, or the College of Arts and Sciences or College of Business. So I don't think you're probably going to. Yeah, I don't know. So I mean that's how I have been trained, or I have been exposed to that kind of a setup. So I'm not very sure whether that is really the problem. I think the problem is the who gets in and how the curriculum is set. I think that is where you can ask them to, hey, we want to have a BSc degree in economics, and we want anybody who has a math background in A-levels to come through. As simple as that. Well, it's not simple, but that's the requirement. You need to set it up, I guess. So I'm not very, I don't think I give a right answer or wrong answer here. It's just a matter of how the curriculum and the requirements will be set by your department rather than the college itself, which college you want to be housed in. That's what it is, I think. I may be wrong here. I mean, that's my experience are in both. So business schools and arts and sciences. It doesn't matter to us.
Shanta, this is Dr. R.D. Gunaratna. Do you mind if I ask a question? I was trying to raise my hand, but not sure how to do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Dakshana, just to introduce myself, my name is R.D. Gunaratna. I retired a few years ago from the University of Colombo, where I was in the science faculty and was unable to persuade my colleagues to start an economics program within that faculty, because I guess there was already one within the arts faculty. And I think you know the problems with that more than I do. I have been working at an institution called CINEC, which is the Colombo International Nautical and Engineering College, now a more or less full-fledged private university. And one of the programs that we wanted to introduce to our very new science faculty, 1 year old now, the science faculty, is a course just exactly along the lines that you have been describing, right? Economics with lots of mathematics and statistics in it, quantitative economics, econometrics. I'm not sure what the program would eventually be called. One problem that we have, obviously, is that there is a lack of expertise in Sri Lanka to develop curricula for these types of degree programs. I was wondering whether we could count on your assistance and the assistance of any other expatriate Sri Lankans that you might be acquainted with who could give us a hand with this.
So thanks for the question, Ranil. So when you say hand in what sense? Are you talking about to train people, or are you talking to teach a course? That's the difference here.
No, the first issue will be to develop a meaningful curriculum, right? And we have to do this in great detail because we have to submit this curriculum to the Ministry of Education, which will send a group of people who probably won't have the expertise, but will come anyway and question us about this. And we have to give them varied answers. And the curriculum has to be extremely detailed. Like I said, the first difficulty we would face would be to develop such a curriculum. Once a curriculum has been developed, we would then have to convince them that we have the expertise to teach it. But at the private university, that has its own set of difficulties as well, and we may need some assistance in that regard. I'm not sure what form that assistance would take, but my primary concern is just developing a curriculum.
Yeah. I'll speak for myself. So I don't know the other experts, but if you send me something to look at it, I'm happy to help you out. And also, I have done some similar thing to KDU as well. So I'm happy to do it. That's not a problem.
That is exactly what I wanted to know, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from us. Thank you very much.
Oh, I may shoot myself here in the foot, but yeah, sure. I'm happy to do it. Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yeah, I think that today most benefit maybe I wanted before Professor Dakshina respond, I wanted to highlight the ideal resource person is in front of you, Dr. Gunaratna. So I think we are more than happy being the National Science Foundation. I think we know Dr. Dakshina definitely will help in this context. Yeah. Any other?
I have a question, Doctor. So, Doctor, you are talking about the PhD in the environment economics, right? So, for that, it is mandated to have a mathematical or statistical background. Means it's a full mathematical degree or some certain level of credits in the bachelor's and the master's. What level needed to do the PhD in the leading universities in the world, as is suggested. So what level of mathematical and statistical background, in the credit sense, like, 10 credits or some, what is the level you suggest? Because I'm planning my PhD in the environmental economics. Basically, I'm a environmental science guy who's having the bachelor's and the master's. So what will be your advice in this regard?
So generally speaking, if it is US, what they will say is, if you go through a US undergraduate system like I did, I was in University of Colombo in the late 90s and I left, but I was not I was doing physics, chemistry, and biology. But I went to US, I did everything in United States. So I end up getting the math background because I end up doing calculus from the math department and stat department and those things. So it is not necessary that you have to do A-levels in mathematics, but it will definitely help. So if I can turn my clock back, I'll just go and do mathematics for A-levels because I had to learn. But having math background on a piece of paper is always helpful because that is where, so let's say you want to do environmental economics. Environmental economics is pretty much math and stat involved in it. So, we will be looking for people who has a math background and statistics background, or at least math calculus background to do a PhD. Now, how you want to show it, it has to be in a, in your transcripts or wherever you studied, has to have some, taken classes in math, economics, and statistics.
Okay, right. So it's a econometrics also enough, right? So what's the difference between the econometrics and the pure stats and the maths? How it is
Well,
considered?
econometrics is using math and stat as a tool, pretty much.
Right.
It's matrix algebra and asymptotic theories in econometrics. So it sometimes having math and econometrics is sufficient. If you have math, stat, and econometrics, it's fine. Having math, stat, it's also fine. So it doesn't matter.
Right. That mean in the bachelor's and the master's, I need to involve some sort of a stats and the maths and the econometrics. So that's enough for the PhD, right?
I think it will help a lot. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
I'm not saying it is necessary condition, but it will help you a lot to get funding. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Understood. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Suresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Suresh Dimel. I'm actually from Peradeniya. So I thought, Dakshin, in terms of some of the things that you've mentioned, we've actually tried to do some of these changes at Peradeniya over the last 20 years or so. And so right now, for example, an econ honors, what we call the econ special, which is the equivalent of the econ honors in the US system, would have compulsory 2 courses in math econ, 2 courses in statistics, 1 course in econometrics, and we have additional optional courses in econometrics, for example, for if people are doing time series kind of thing, there are optional courses in time series econometrics and that kind of thing. And so we've done these curriculum revisions over the years, and I think our biggest, in a sense, the challenge for us has been the fact that we are dealing with students who don't have the mathematics background at A levels.
Yeah.
And so we know that, and for that reason, the faculty, at one point in the first year, people would essentially be doing either mathematics or logic. So they got a chance to choose between mathematics or logic. Now, in our most recent curriculum revision, we are not giving them that option. We're making everybody do mathematics. And so, I mean, that has led to various problems. So we have, for example, people studying Buddhist and Pali studies later on saying, මොකද සර් මට dy over dx වැඩක් නෑනේ kind of thing. So we are but we are kind of introducing that to everybody in the hope that we are trying to make it more of like a mathematics for life kind of course. So cut out the calculus parts maybe, but maybe make it more of a mathematical skills for life, and trying to make that. So I think our biggest challenge, in a sense, is the strong partitions, the divisions that come out of the A-level system. And so it's very difficult for a faculty of arts at Peradeniya to be able to recruit A-level students from the science stream. And because a science stream student would not want to come for a BA, and we have difficulties in actually pushing our courses as BScs. So I think that division is one of our biggest challenges. So I mean, so a lot of what you said is valid, and a lot of what we've been struggling with these over the years. I'm Anuruddha's colleague, so we are in the
no,
same department.
I realized it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Anuruddha can actually give you more information about what has been happening.
Anu should know quite well what I'm talking. He was my
Yeah.
roommate as well. So,
Right. Okay.
and we have a
So,
paper together, two papers actually together.
yeah,
So-
auction theory. Yeah.
Yeah, auction stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah, okay.
I was trained as a PO auction guy. So
Yeah.
it's,
How we deal with the lack of the A-level background? I'd be interested to know what you have to say on that.
So can I make a small joke too? So the person who said, I don't need to know about Pali and stuff, you should say, well, if there's a tax policy, the Hamdru will not get his dane because the dy over dx by dt is going to change the outcome of the arms giving part. So then the Hamdru might end up getting less if the tax policy changes. So that's a joke. Okay. So that is why they should know how this dy over dx actually have implications for even for the Buddhist temple. Okay. So said that, I think the fundamental change has to be from the UGC. So they have to let you guys in the sense the universities, all universities, should be able to recruit people with a math background. I mean, I don't know whether Tiloka is here or not. There is Tiloka de Silva, who is who studied at London School of Economics at University of Moratuwa. She's not in the econ department. I think she's in data science or something like that. So there are many examples you can find in Sri Lanka or anywhere. There are people who have done this thing. So my point is, it has to come from the UGC. You cannot have 1978 policy till 2023. I mean, that's unbelievably static, right? It has to change. I think that is something has to be changed, and people have to, I mean, you may require that to do. So you said you are moving towards this math for life. Well, it's going to be tough if they want to do a degree in, so it's kind of sounds like a watered down version of A-level first year, I don't know, math, or a little bit higher level of O-level math. That might not really go very well if they come to do a degree in mathematics as well. Oh, sorry, in economics and stuff. So I'm not saying, as I said, I didn't have a magic bullet, but I think the fundamental problems, I think, starts with the UGC allowing you to choose who you want to get in there. I mean, I'm a little bit hopeful that somebody will take leadership and change it, saying, hey, we got to change it. Otherwise, you're just going to be going backwards, right? I mean, this is going to be all backwards otherwise. It has to change.
Thanks, Lakshina. Also, thanks, Suresh. You brought up a very pertinent practical issue. In fact, I had some discussion with Professor Kalinga, Dean Science Kalania. He has similar experience there. So I think we need to really discuss under education reforms with the Ministry of Education, UGC, and also the university sector. That's why I thought this is a beginning of a long journey. I think this discussion generated some interest and momentum in that direction. So we would like Dakshina to have the next one with maybe if you could identify another couple of scientists who could really take part in this deliberation. And we would actually, to be fair by the UGC, we invited the Vice Chairman, Professor Chandan Udavath, but I think they are under education reform, they are having a huge meeting all of today. So UG is fully preoccupied with that event. so he's unable to attend. But we do recognize there should be a sea change, whether UGC or NSF or any other institution. All stakeholders need to come together and work in concert. But we need to really have actually deep reflection and deliberation over a period of time to bring about these changes, because we see, as you mentioned, Dakshina, even starting from the timetable itself, that precludes offering subjects across these mainstreams. We are so fragmented, as I mentioned, whole world has become borderless, but our universities and system is so fragmented and compartmentalized. There are a lot of obstacle for this cross-disciplinary or interdisciplinary programs. So we need to have this step change, but NSF would be happy to organize a few more discussion like this. Next one, jointly with UGC. And we also try to invite even a ministry so that we will do it concert. So this is a beginning of a long journey. Next one, we will invite even the deans of faculties of science, faculties of arts, economics, and so on. So we'll have a wider forum so that we could have a greater discussion and also greater feedback to take this idea forward with greater momentum. So that's what I want to tell again, Dakshina. So we would like to have this constructive engagement with you. And we would appreciate if you could also help rope in another couple, even non-Sri Lankans. Okay, but if Sri Lankans, then it is easier for us to and for our stakeholders to discuss things more freely and open, like Dana matter. You really explain. So that's briefly what I want to say. That there may be, I think time is now, I think.
Yeah, no, there is, hold on, there is, so quick thing, I'm happy to bring our graduate director, so it might be helpful to understand what they look for as well. And also I can bring a couple of my colleagues as well. And then there was, I think there was a hand earlier by Saman Mala. I don't know whether she wants to
Yes.
ask. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I'm also from Peradeniya with Suresh and Anuruddha. So actually, I do teach the mathematics course for the first years, and I do teach statistics in the department. So from my experience, so actually, I'm a graduate from economics department itself. So I did my PhD in US. So from my experience, we have had, like, during our time, there were about 700 students taking economics. But now it has come down to about 350 in the first year. So this itself shows you the amount of students' interest in this subject, because earlier, even students who so now what happens is mostly the economics is taken in the A-level stage by the commerce students only. And there are only a few students taking economics in the art stream. So they are not, like, we can identify, they're not highly prone for mathematical stuff. So there is this issue here. So if we can have this BSc in economics coming in as well as a BA, because I do not want to drop the part of the BA part, because we came from the BA part and we developed the interest for mathematics. And I'm sure Chandranath is here. He's also one of our graduates who's at the. So there is a potential for them to develop. I don't want that part to be taken out from the system. But the issue is here, during our time, we had the first year, as Suresh clearly explained here. So calculus was.
I think she got
she's
disconnected.
Not there anymore. I mean, I understand. I'm not saying, so I think she was worried about dumping the BA part. No, even in Lancaster, we have a BA part, but it is taught in a very different way, maybe with something like mathematics for life kind of a scenario. So it has very, very less calculus, and it is taught in a very different way. So we don't drop the BA part, but BS part requires mathematics. That's all. You can see my slides. I think I shared it with Shanta NSF group, so you can ask for those slides. I haven't said anything about drop the BA part. You can keep the yeah.
Yeah, I understand. So the best thing is to see whether we can open up an window for the BS, and where we can get it separately from the other streams. So then they would not be willing to just to take BA.
Yeah.
That is something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for opening this avenue. And I think we should speak, as Dr. Francis said, that we should elaborate on this and say how we can open up. And I find it because we struggle now. We don't see the potential among many students to go for this mathematics aspect of it when we are teaching in the class. So I feel so sorry, because whatever we create, only of one or two we would find who has the interest to go in that. Others, they just want to just pass this and get the degree. So that is, we find that we are not really producing economic graduates here, complete ones with that potential.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Tusita representing Uvalasa University. Can I have a word there?
Sure.
Yeah, in fact, I also totally endorse what Professor Dakshina as well as Professor Senaratna said, right? We need this change. As we all said, of course, we had some kind of a change. If you take Peradeniya, I'm a product of Peradeniya, so I had that change. And at Uvalasa, like Dr. Ambuldeniya said, we made, huge change there. Then we felt we need the change. So going for BSc, it's really difficult rather than saying. So I'm very much happy that Professor Senaratna has, he has, at least he has the mind that we need to invite all these academic administrators, including the ministry, to get into one place and tell them the value and why we need to make this change. In fact, Professor Dakshina himself can be a resource person and tell them, because I think Professor Suresh was here. He knows that very well, the struggle I had. We had a program which is from economics, combining mathematics, statistics, and data analytics, which are big data analysis. And then I was summoned for a meeting and I was grilled for 1 hour, not because of the program. They were really happy about the program because we had the BSc in economics, where mathematics, A-level mathematics, as well as A-level economics student can get in. But the problem they had in their comment, they didn't like the faculty that we proposed. We proposed the new faculty. They said, why don't you propose faculty of arts? So then I just forget about the faculty, forget about the degree program, and even I left my country and joined with another university here, where I can contribute in a different way, which I did at Uvalasa University. So Professor Senaratna, thank you very much for identifying this requirement and initiating this discussion. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Our pleasure.
Yeah, I think we are, more precious time of our distinguished resource person. Now, almost our time is over. I think there may be at the next, as suggested our Professor Naratna, at the next discussion, maybe some more space maybe for further elaborations. So I think before come to last item, concluding remarks, I think our Professor Senaratna may be having some final comments. So what is you, sir? Please.
Yes, thank you, Shanta. I have already expressed what I want to, but I wish to say that we would like to really develop this as our group, and we try to get more on board and to continue discussion. If Shanta, now we could really get the highlights of this meeting, even now share this one, what Dakshin has sent with the participants. I think Dakshin has really said that the members could really use this, and also if any question to communicate with him. So we will, if the highlights of the meeting could be also shared, and also indicating that this is only a beginning of a long journey. We will have another event shortly, and also request them to also identify a resource person who could proactively and constructively contribute to taking this forward to the next step. So next time we will definitely consult them in advance and get their okay, and then fix the meeting so that all key players will be on board, so we could really discuss these things freely and more purposefully and constructively, impactfully. That's all. Just again, I wish to really thank Taksina. I think when you visited me also, I told you clearly this is not a one-off thing, beginning of a long journey, hand in hand, in the interest of a particularly higher education sector of the country. NF is always fully committed to really draw upon our expertise and also our in-country resources to take higher education to next level. So we will continue with this deliberation. And again, many thanks to all who joined this. And we look forward to working hand in hand to really bring about this much needed change. Everybody is responsible. Every one of us has to contribute toward that noble goal and objective. I think together we would be able to make it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And I am sure our Dr. Sepalika, our Director General also will having final words, I am sure. Over to you, madam.
You're muted.
Madam, you can unmute the mic. Madam.
Thank you, Professor, because thank you for accepting our invitation. It's your time, it's precious, and time matters. And so thank you so much. Be a part of NSF.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting. So I'll see you guys.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And to conclude, I wish to extend very brief concluding remarks on behalf of the National Science Foundation. I extend our sincere appreciation to Dr. Professor Dakshina De Silva. With your busy time schedule, you agreed to share your experience and convey the message. Thank you very much. And with the guidance and instructions from our Director General and Professor Senaratne, our Chairman, this event, it was make a success. And also we would like to extend our sincere thanks to our online participants. I think discussion part was the most interesting part. It brought some heat to the discussion, but time is precious for the resource person. Therefore, we would like to extend a big thank for all. We will meet at the next event, sure, and have with more deliberation and more focused discussion, so that this initiative will be propelled with having an impact. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Dakshina.
See you later.
See you.
Thank you.